Morning, guys. How you doing?
What part of the world are you in?
Oh, West Midlands, UK.
Glamorous.
Hibernating. Very glamorous.
How are things for the football agent at the moment, Stephen? Because I know there's sort of a
Dan, give it a break.
Well, I'm just saying.
Straight on to the football agent bit.
Well, okay.
No.
Well, I mean, it is your job.
Yes, go on.
It is your job. Like, you know, it's not.
It is my job.
But sort of genuinely, with the whole COVID stuff that's going on, and you see some suggestion that maybe the market in January could be quite depressed because players, like managers, don't want to let players go because they want to keep big squads. Like, is that the vibe that's out there at the moment, that it could be a slow January or not?
Yeah, certain clubs have obviously their own ideas how they want to go about it, whether they want to keep the young players in to make sure there's enough numbers in place. The way the COVID numbers are going, I think more clubs will be reluctant, especially maybe not towards the end of the window, to let players go. So then, as you know, Dan, the last 3 or 4 days, your poker hand is on the table and you're ready to go. So that's generally how it is anyway. With COVID, it'll definitely add a bit of some slowness to the window to start, yes, for sure.
You're isolating yourself at the moment, do you?
No, Johnny, don't know where you got that from. I'm at home, yes, I am indeed. I'm chilling, so...
It is, just from an Irish perspective though, it is very, very rampant over there, and it's worrying because this is all ahead of us.
Yeah, I think it's everywhere over here, if I'm honest with you, at the moment. Anywhere you go, you hear people that have it. So I think I was alerted that somebody was in close contact, but I have been tested and I'm fine, so I'm okay. But still, the market and everything else at the moment over here for the agents window is slow, but it'll get going for sure. Sorry, guys, I'm going off 2 different subjects.
No, not at all.
He's allowed to. Well, at least we had Spurs Liverpool yesterday, Stephen. Like, we did have a thrilling game. We just sort of hoped that we were talking earlier that we're hopefully not going to go back to empty stadiums. But it was a sort of probably as good a game as we've had in the last couple of weeks, I think. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, very much so. Both teams went at a real high intensity. Spurs look a different outfit already in terms of fitness, I would say. Definitely they look fitter and stronger, and they're going at it. Harry Kane was charging round.
He was doing that,
he
right?
hasn't been doing. Yeah, wrongly in some cases, but the team were playing with a bit more intensity, and obviously Liverpool play with intensity week in, week out with a structure. So it was a very good game, and I'm sure the new White Hart Lane was rocking.
Yeah, I know you would probably know a couple of people that are at Spurs. Is there any sense of what the Conte regime is like thus far, in the sense of he's pretty known for the intensity that he brings to things? Is that sort of part of the vibes you're picking up about what it's like there?
Some vibes, yeah, for sure. Dan, you know me too well. Listen, they've worked on their fitness for sure, almost to an extent where they can't believe the levels they're getting to now in terms of how they're going about it. So they are covering ground, they are going at it, and maybe a tiny bit tough on them, but maybe it's got to be done. And listen, one thing I do know is Dele Alli can run, so maybe that's suiting his game. He's getting to a level of fitness now where he can maybe start playing some more games. He got a nice round of applause yesterday when he came off, which you wouldn't have had for a while. And one thing I do know, if you get a bit of confidence and you're lacking confidence and you get a good send-off when you're coming off the pitch, it gives you more confidence going on the pitch.
I thought that was it.
That was nice actually as well.
I thought that was interesting, because I think Martin Lipton was on this show maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, very much talking about Dele Alli as though, well, it's nearly a time that he's going to move on. And yet it was so striking he was prominently involved yesterday. Now, I know the nature of the game was quite open, and maybe as sort of Stephen alludes to, maybe suited him a bit, but I don't know, it could just be, and you've probably been through this in your life, Stephen, the manager comes in and all of a sudden your face fits again.
Yeah, well, listen, Dele Alli's a lucky lad. If he ends up falling back into favour and playing games, I think he's had enough chances over the last few years. From the level he was at to the level he went to is not acceptable as a footballer. So for him to come back yesterday and pick up a good performance, he'll be excited by it. Maybe it'll give him some confidence going forward, and I suppose realise what you have right in front of you is a Spurs team and Premier League life at 25, and having had it for that long, maybe he's just got a bit bored of it.
Yeah, it's a mad thing to suggest, but I think you mightn't be far off the mark. Like, his performance was it not this There was promise in the sense of some of the things he did, but then the final touch and just like the final shot at times was just consistent maybe with the player who is coming back from that background of having been basically out in the dark.
Yeah, Dele Alli always for me has never been a technical player. He ended up playing as a number 10 years ago in behind Harry Kane based on his running ability and his timing into the box. Just yesterday he showed positivity, trying to make things happen. If it didn't happen, then so be it. But at least he tried, and I think the Spurs fans give him that credit he deserved to try and make things happen. And he definitely can score a goal. He's always in the box, and if he can get a few goals to his name again, then maybe he might be back.
Brian Kerr made an interesting point, and I'm paraphrasing what he said during commentary, but he said some of these players who played very well for Spurs effectively helped get the previous manager sacked. So how do you reconcile the revival? You said like a lot of it is fitness, but this kind of intrigues me in terms of if there's a squad of players who are paid an awful lot of money and the least you want from them as a fan is to give their 100% on a Saturday, but does it come to the point where it's such a malaise there that there's nothing you can do about it?
Listen, it's like any previous manager in any walk of life, any job, a new one comes in and have their own ideas, and all of a sudden everyone's doing stuff that they weren't doing before, and they're putting their leg up. If you go to the hospitality industry and you have a new manager come in, all of a sudden the tables are getting set quicker and people are jumping. So it's no different to a footballer. They have an initial burst of
I think that's the first time I've ever heard like a footballer related to the hospitality sector in terms of a new manager coming in.
Previously in his life he's run a sort of a facility, so clearly the staff have worked very hard there when the Hunt regime kicked in.
There we go.
No, but it's true, isn't it? Any kind of walk of life, if you guys get a new producer, obviously you're going to be in, you're going to be doing your work.
Maybe we do, yeah. Maybe we need one.
Honestly, you don't know what Johnny Ward's like in the dressing room.
Enda's producing today, but yeah. Enda just wanted to talk about Celtic, Hunty, to be honest.
They obviously had a good day yesterday, so nice to get a trophy. And I like the new manager. I don't know enough about him, Johnny, but he seems to me he comes across well, and good luck to him.
But just on that though, how can like that performance against Man United, who were in the absolute dregs themselves at the time, like how can it go from that bad to now under Conte? Like it's totally flipped in the space of literally a couple of days.
Oh, they had obviously a few COVID cases and demanded the game was called off, and obviously maybe they've had some time in that time to work on their fitness levels, to work on their mentality as players and as a club. They're obviously a very big club, so Conte is big into, I think Harry Kane said it yesterday, his enthusiasm and desire. I think on a couple of occasions he mentioned that, and his energy he brings to the place. So you see Conte, listen, Trapp used to do it, he used to join in the warm-up, even though he couldn't lift his legs from man to the moon. He still brought that enthusiasm, and I seen Conte running around in the circle in a warm-up the other day, sliding, tackling. He's not doing it because he can do it, he can't do it. He's just doing it to have a positive impact on the place, and he seems to have brought a new energy level. And of course, when you've been a manager of Conte's level, you've been a tactics board as well that I'm sure they've done loads of work on.
I do remember when Trapp was manager, like we'd turn up and you'd see the first 15 minutes of training, or maybe the last 15 depending on what it was, and you would see Trapp like in the tracksuit, like trying to do a bit, you know, at the start. I assume as players, like did that take you aback at first, like when you heard of Trapp, but did you expect him to be more of a suit-wearing manager than a tracksuit, if you know what I mean? Or was that sort of a bit of a shock to the system?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would have been my opinion of him coming in, and all of a sudden he's doing high knees in the warm-up and he's lifting his leg over the ladders and stuff, and you're looking at him going, are you for real? But listen, he had an effect, and has it a positive effect when he obviously come in with Ireland first. And Conte is doing the same thing now. Obviously, he's not doing what Trapp did 15 years ago. I'm sure he's bringing a new level of intensity and a new level of tactics to Spurs that they didn't have under Nuno.
Just you're in the, as you mentioned, you're in the West Midlands. I assume you're very much on top of what's going on at your old club, Wolves. Like, what's the sense about how they're getting on? I mean, they had a good result yesterday, but obviously Chelsea sort of dominates the discussion of that game. But what's the feeling around Wolves right now?
Yeah, I think they're doing a very good job, if I'm honest with you. They've gone from a very successful manager under Nuno to a new manager, and a transition of play and how they go about it. They've gone from a low block, medium block of a team to a counter-attack team to a high-pressure team. They're trying to get that. If I'm honest with you, they're stuck in between Nuno and the new manager. in terms of how they play, but the manager that's come in is doing a good effect in terms of getting a high press on. The players they signed in the summer, not many granted, are full of energy and a high press. So they do look like they have a lot going for them. To be in the top 10 of the table would be an outstanding achievement for the new manager, in my opinion.
You did think maybe at the weekend, Hunty, did you, that like this, it was almost a weekend where if you said this is where Man City kind of asserted their their likely winning of the title, where Liverpool slipped up really a game that they were hot favourites to win. Chelsea have just stumbled along. City are really hitting form. De Bruyne looks like he's hitting form. They battered Newcastle, and I don't know, it's kind of hard in a way not to see them win the title at the moment, is it?
Yeah, listen, I like Liverpool to have the bigger picture, Johnny, is very easy, and I agree with you. It looks like Man City are in a great vein of form. Klopp touched on it yesterday. 1-1 away at, or 2-2, whatever it was, the final result. Away at Spurs is not so bad. We'll move on. He understood the intensity of a new manager coming in. He took the result on the chin with no panic. And
they coughed up an awful lot of chances, though.
Yeah, they did. But there's a long way to go, and I think there will be a break now in terms of Premier League games. But I do think Man City have hit full speed at the moment, and maybe it's too soon. Let's see.
Can I get you in a golden cleric theme as we close the show? I was calling out Allison recently on our Saturday show, saying that I think he's making an awful lot of mistakes at the moment, which again was the case yesterday. Now I'm not trying to suggest Creven Kelleher is going to replace him anytime soon.
Some great saves as well.
He did make some great saves, but he seems to be so error prone at times. I mean, really, really poor for the second goal. He again was caught out with a hopping ball in the first half. This has happened against Anfield at Anfield against Villa as well, where he's made mistakes. What do you make of him?
Yeah, I thought his second goal error yesterday was a very bad error. Actually, I thought he would. Unfortunately, I think he had one eye on the player coming in, which shouldn't be the case. I think everything should have went the ball, the whole lot if needs be, in that time of the game to allow Song to tap it in was a big error, and it's an error that won't go on this obviously from Klopp and how many he's done. Listen, I think his place is safe at the moment for sure, but you just don't know. I think maybe if he's taken out of the limelight for 1 or 2 games as you go along, then maybe so be it. But I think his place is safe, and Kelleher will have to sit on the bench maybe a bit longer.
Yeah, and that's the big debate. Getting his award.
Bazunu still, and I suppose Mark Travers is playing regularly as well too and stuff. I mean, before we let you go, Stephen, like, I don't know, the Nations League draw was last Thursday. Any strong views on it? Armenia, Ukraine, Scotland. What would your thoughts be? How would you fancy that June schedule as a player?
Yeah, I think Ukraine are a little bit unknown for us. Obviously, we've never played against them, I think, as a nation. So
or Armenia.
You've probably got some players over there, though, do you? You probably do.
Yeah, I know their players well. They're a good team. They got good ability. Armenia, I don't know much about. Obviously, Scotland are in a half decent vein of form under the manager, so I think it's a tough draw for us. But I think now is the time that we mix performances with results, and I think Stephen will know that. He was quick to comment on results are most important. So I look forward to it. I think our style of play is now embedded in us, and we have to go and perform and win games, and I'm looking forward to the lads showcasing their skills.
Like, what was your attitude to those? I mean, to be fair, you were always there. You know, what would your attitude have been to those end of season games? Like, because you have players now who've had reasonably difficult seasons who in June are going to be playing Ukraine at home on a Saturday, Armenia on a Tuesday, Scotland on a Saturday, and off to Ukraine the following Tuesday. And with this potential COVID cancellations that we're going to have, with the schedule next year being condensed because of the World Cup, you'd imagine there's going to be pressure from managers on players too. So can you envisage it being a difficult window from that respect, just even availability and pressure the players will be under?
Yeah, I think first of all the unpredictability of COVID will obviously come into it. At the moment we don't know whether we're coming or going with it, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So the injury thing is again down to the timing of it and players that are in the playoffs and just finished games going straight into it. One thing I would say is that it's a close together 4 games, I think it is, and
certainly that
gives you the excitement of trying to win it quickly and trying to be top of the table or trying to qualify instead of being spread out over 4, 5, 6 months. In fact, that it almost feels like a mini tournament. it will give the players a bit of excitement, right, lads? Let's try and finish the season on a high. We're not playing a game now that will be finished in October, November next year. So they have the likability of being top of the table, hopefully by the end of the group, and going from there. So listen, I think it's fine. The players, they'll be fine also. They understand now that they probably only get 2 or 3 weeks holidays these days, and they're cracking on.
I just picked up on something you said there. You're obviously very much involved over there and speaking to people. You sense there might be some kind of break coming then? You think that might be a product of these meetings they're having around the Premier League?
Yeah, I think there'll be meetings for sure around the Premier League. Obviously, there's a meeting this morning, but I think there'll be a little break somewhere along the lines over the next few weeks quite quickly. And unfortunately, I think that will probably involve no games for 10 days, 2 weeks.
Circuit breaker, yeah. What's on your Santa Claus list?
Oh, I tell you what, my daughter's giving me Dad. I don't know if you heard it or not, but the elves were up to mischief last night, so I better go sort it out, lads. It's getting carnage close to Christmas. They're getting naughtier as the year.
Seem to be looking down at your feet there. What's at your feet?
Well, the elves have written a note last night, obviously tell Dad to make sure I walk the dog today and stuff like that. So they were a bit cheeky last night. What else is on the treats tonight, which is a delivery of ice cream to get delivered around Christmas time. So listen, small treats, bit of fun, and the elves obviously were very cheeky.
And you were probably watching Tiger Woods and his son, were you? You're sort of.
I was glued.
You were glued to it, I'd say, yeah.
Glued. I couldn't get enough of it. As you know, a bit of a fanatic, so every movement, every swing was analysed in my head for 30 seconds after. And listen, again, it's obviously good to have him back. I'm under it.
Can we get?
Arabella, come here. Come here. There's one on the radio. Sorry. No, sorry, guys.
I know we all don't want to go on.
Generally, I mean, our dad would generally run to a microphone if he saw one. So clearly, he hasn't passed it down. You know,
taken after the mother.
Yes, she has actually. She's all a bit of she'll talk a lot in the background, and then put her on stage, and she's a disaster. So. It is what it is.
Thanks a million, Hunty.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.